Hello, beautiful yoga tribe. It's Anna from Twisted Tribe Yoga. Welcome back to the Zen Den. Today we are continuing on with our 31-day self-love challenge. And today we're going to discuss boundaries, how to set them, how to maintain them. And we're going to start off with a little bit of yoga, because that's what we do here. So I invite you to roll out your yoga mat and come into a seated position on your knees. We're going to start with a little bit of that deep yogic breathing. Bring your hands to your hips and rest them on top of your thighs. Roll your shoulders back and have your shoulder blades pointing down your spine. And we're going to be inhaling and exhaling through our nose. So big inhale, big exhale. On an inhale, raise the crown of your head, offer your heart forward. And on an exhale, round your spine. Push all the air out of your belly. Inhale, offer your heart. Exhale, round. Inhale. Exhale. And now just bring your hands up. Inhale over your head. Exhale. Bring them to heart center. Inhale again. Have you guys ever seen statues? Keep going. Bring your hands to heart center, or pictures of the Buddha. Did you ever notice how on every statue and every picture he's smiling with just the little corners of his mouth going up just a little, just that little smile? So try that with me. Try to give yourself a little Buddha smile while we're doing this, and see how, when you do it, the actual act of raising the corners of your mouth, see what change that has on you. Close your eyes and try it visually. Does the color change behind your eyes? Did it have any effect on your mood? Just that little tiny smile? So come into a tabletop position now. Put your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees positioned underneath your hips. And we're just gonna move back, curl your toes under into a downward facing dog. And let it go. Just let the breath out. And walk out your dog a little bit. Now walk the dog. And now we're gonna continue on into a wave-like motion. Come up onto your tippy toes. Roll the back of your heart forward until you're in a plank position and hold. And you're going to roll it back. Rounding your spine, bringing your belly button into the back of your spine. And again, picture yourself rolling the back of your heart forward into a plank position and hold. And lower all the way down. And come up into a cobra position by tenting your fingers up onto the sides of your mat. I don't know if you can see me from here. There you are. Keep that Buddha smile. And stretch it out. Come on down. Up onto all fours. Curl your toes and back into downward facing dog. And from here, we're just going to start a little bit of a flow. So bring your toes together, your big toes together. Raise your right leg straight back behind you. Gently bring it forward in between your palms. Lower the back knee to the floor, the top of your foot flat on your mat, and we're going to twist. So bring that right hand up and gently twist. Bring it back down, nice and easy. Curl the toes. And from here, we're going to raise raise our arms up, pivot your body to the back of your mat. Hands to the inside of your right foot. And from here, we're gonna twist. Bring that right arm up, or the left arm up, I should say. Get a twist. Come back down. Kick the right foot back and up high. Bring it back gently in between your hands. Raise up lightly. Pivot to the front of your mat. Hands come inside the right foot. And twist again. You can lower your leg if you want, or you can keep it raised for more strength, stability, and balance, or lower it if that's more comfortable for you. Raise your right arm for a twist. Lower back down. Hands to opposite sides of your foot. Come back up on your toe if you aren't already there. And swing that right leg forward. And come into a standing forward bend. Fold. From here, raise your hands all the way up over your head. Get a nice arch in your spine. Forward fold, swan dive down. Palms to your mat. And walk it back into downward facing dog. And we're going to move through that flow one more time. Generating some heat. So here we go. Offer the back of your heart forward and come into that plank position. Roll it back. Bring your belly button into your spine. Keep breathing with me. Fluid movements on your inhales and exhales. Offer the back of your heart forward. Roll it up. Plank position. And roll it back into downward facing dog. Big toes together. Raise that right leg up behind you so you're in a three-legged dog. Bring it forward. Gently plant your foot between your hands. Raise your right arm and twist. Open up. Open your chest. Feeling nice. Stretching your hip. Bring it back down. And raise it on up. Rise up with me. Come back down, hands inside your right foot. Again, you can drop that lower leg or keep it up if you want more of a challenge for strength and balance. And you're gonna twist on this side. Bring your right arm up. Feel that stretch. Lower down. Come up. The right foot back into a three-legged dog. Bring it back forward between your hands. And rise up. Use your energy. Rise up. Pivot to the front of your mat. And another twist here. Come back down. And you can move back into downward facing dog. Out your dog a little, some organic movements, do whatever feels good for you here. If you want to continue to wave forward and back, or just stay in downward facing dog. Breathing deep. Maybe coming up on your tippy toes. And from here we're going to move into a pigeon pose. So again, bring your toes together. Bring your right foot back up behind you into a three-legged dog. And then gently bring it forward so that your shin is parallel to your wrists. So your right knee should be in line with your right wrist. If your shin doesn't go all the way parallel, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it never does. Sometimes it does, but for some people it just never does. For me, I don't think it ever will quite get completely parallel. So from here, roll your shoulders back. Take a big inhale and offer your heart forward. Exhale and come down. Come down. Bring your arms out in front of you. Your forehead can rest on your arms. It can be folded like this. I know you can't see me. It's not a perfect science here. And rest your hands. Rest your forehead right there. And you're just gonna breathe deep for 3. 3 nice deep breaths. Inhaling and exhaling through your nose. Enjoying that stretch. Feeling the space we've created. Space to create some boundaries in our life. And bring it back up into a downward facing dog. And we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So bring your big toes together. Raise that left foot, left leg up behind you into a 3-legged dog. Bring it forward. Fold your knee. Left knee into left arm. Try to get your shin parallel, but don't force anything, guys. It's not what yoga's about. We don't force anything here. Nice deep breath. Roll your shoulders back off your heart. Inhale, exhale, and fold it down. Rest your forehead right on your arms, crossed arms. And breathe deeply with me for 3. If you want, you can stay up here as well. Just enjoy that deep stretch in your hip. And from here, roll over onto your left hip and come into a simple cross-legged position. And we're gonna have our little talk now about boundaries. So today's question on our 31-day self-love challenge is, how can you set better boundaries for yourself? Okay, well, I can tell you this, that setting boundaries was a skill I was never taught, and I didn't really know anything about. The only thing, it was an idea that I sort of grasped because I saw other people doing it in their relationships and in their lives, and it's a skill I just didn't have. So I read about it and I learned about it and I put it into practice, and I can tell you it's worked wonders for my relationships and for myself personally. It's part of self-care and self-love, and it's still a relatively new concept. It's a challenging one, but So what are boundaries? They're limits you can set about others' words or actions. They can be material boundaries, such as your property, your personal belongings, your home. They can be physical boundaries, your body, your own body. You have to have boundaries, and your space. Or mental and emotional, and those are kind of the bigger ones. You gotta have limits to protect yourself and to have better relationships. So, how do you know when you haven't set a healthy boundary? Okay, well, there are some really, really good key things to be aware of. So, you want to pay attention in situations and in your relationships. So, when you first feel yourself becoming angry or resentful in any situation, or exhausted is another big one, you can be pretty sure that you have not set a healthy boundary, because that's where that resentment and anger is coming from. There's no boundary set. So the lines are being crossed and you're pushing yourself and other people are pushing you. So that's how you know. That's one way to know. Also, pay attention to how people react. When they are reacting with anger and hostility to your boundaries, guess what? You found the edge to where their respect for you ends. So that goes into a deeper thing about maybe letting go of toxic people in your life. Also, understand that when you set boundaries, you're probably going to feel a little selfish, guilty, or embarrassed. Guess what, guys? Do it anyway. do it anyway. And tell yourself that you have a right to self-care. Setting boundaries, it takes practice and determination. Don't let anxiety or low self-esteem prevent you from taking care of yourself. Okay, so I have 10 suggestions or 10 ideas that you can put into practice or not. It's up to you, whichever ones work for you, or if none of them work for you, then I still highly suggest you look into setting boundaries respectfully for yourself, or just take some of these into consideration and do with them what you will. So there are 10 suggestions on ways to build and preserve better boundaries. The first one is to name your limits. Okay, you can't set good boundaries if you don't know where you stand and how you feel about things. So you need to identify your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual limits. Consider what you can tolerate from others, accept what makes you feel uncomfortable or stressed. Figure out what those things are and write them down. Think about them, write them down. All of those things that I've just asked you to consider are things that can help you identify your limits so that you can set them in a healthy, respectful manner. So the second thing that I suggest is to tune into your feelings. 2 of the main key feelings that you need to pay attention to are discomfort and resentment. Those are red flag feelings. Put those feelings when you're in a situation or a conversation or an argument or whatever, put them on a scale of 1 to 10, 6 to 10 being the higher end of the scale. If you're in the 6 to 10 range, have to ask yourself, what's causing that? What is it about this interaction or this person's expectations that are bothering me? And usually it's a really good indication that, again, you haven't set a boundary or that boundary is being crossed, and you need to communicate more effectively and always respectfully what that is. And then you can work towards fixing that together. Are you feeling resentment? Resentment usually comes from being taken advantage of, right? You feel taken advantage of, or you feel like you're not being appreciated, so you build up some resentment. That's often a sign that we're pushing ourselves beyond our own limits. Because, and why do we do that? Well, because we want to be a good friend. We want to be a good daughter. We want to be a good mother, a good spouse. You know, we want to do that, but we also have to be aware that sometimes we can push ourselves too much, and then that builds resentments, which is never healthy. So, and it's also because someone else is imposing their expectations or views on us too, and that's also another reason to set that boundary. If you feel these things, the boundaries are not being set or they're being crossed. So just be aware of those things. Also, the third thing to do in setting and maintaining boundaries is to be direct. Okay, most of the time we don't have to be super direct to maintain healthy boundaries. It doesn't require it because usually the people that are in our lives have similar communication skills, styles, personalities, or viewpoints. So subtle boundaries or unspoken ones are usually all that it takes, but sometimes it's not the case. People are not mind readers. If personality and communication differences occur, or cultural backgrounds differ, being direct about your boundaries helps. Don't be afraid to do this. It's about improving relationships and loving yourself. So be direct. The fourth thing is give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to set boundaries. Okay? It's a sign of self-respect. Fear, guilt, and self-doubt are things that often prevent us from setting boundaries. We all have those things. It's also stopped us from enforcing them even after we've set them, because we believe we should just be able to cope with things and deal with it. But it's, we're not superhumans, we're human, and that's the reason why we need to do these things. Setting boundaries is not a bad thing. I can't stress that enough. It's a sign of healthy relationships, and it's a sign of self-respect. The fifth suggestion is to practice self-awareness. Okay, if after you've set boundaries and there comes a point in your relationships or your interactions where you feel yourself slipping and you're not sustaining those boundaries, sit back and ask yourself, what's changed? What's changed here? And then consider what you actually have control over in the situation and focus on that and reset. A sixth thing to consider is to consider your past and present. This means taking a look at yourself. Look at what your role was in your family growing up. Were you a caretaker? Was your focus always on others, and that kind of left you feeling emotionally drained or physically drained? Were you that person? And look at things, how your relationships are in the present, and who you surround yourself with now. Are your relationships reciprocal? Is there a healthy, even balance of give and take, or is it kind of not that way? And look at your environment. That could be unhealthy too. I mean, are there unrealistic, unhealthy, or very high expectations set in your place of employment or at home? These are all things to look at. You need to hone in on that and be aware of your feelings surrounding that. That becomes critical in learning where you need to set boundaries and maintain them. 7, make self-care a priority. Give yourself permission to put yourself first. Just say, hey, it's okay. I'm gonna put myself first here. And why? Because when you do this, your need and your motivation to set boundaries becomes stronger. Recognize the importance of your own feelings and well-being. And trust me, that is important, okay? It also gives you the energy, the peace of mind, and a positive outlook to be present and there for others. So I think that's a pretty good reason right there. 8, seek support. Don't be afraid to ask for help, guys. I've mentioned before, we're all here together. We're all here on this planet together. We're a community of humans, and we can be there and help and support each other in a healthy, respectful manner. So if you're having a hard time with boundaries, seek support. There's groups. There are groups. There are groups everywhere. There's counseling, coaching, church, community events where you can find supportive people, friends, and with your friends. Just as a practice thing, make it a priority with each other to practice setting boundaries and hold each other accountable for them. It's just good practice for the other relationships in your life. There's books. There's plenty of books out there on setting boundaries. One that I recommend is The Art of Extreme Self-Care, Transform Your Life 1 Month at a Time, and that's by Cheryl Richardson. And I know Amazon has a bunch of copies. So that's one to look into maybe. 9, a 9th suggestion is to be assertive. It's not enough to create boundaries. We actually have to follow through with them, guys. And remember, people aren't mind readers. Okay, maybe some are, but the majority of us are not mind readers. So it's important to assertively communicate. When someone crosses a boundary, you need to let them know. You need to let them know in a respectful way, and then you can work together to address that. And the 10th suggestion to creating and maintaining boundaries, healthy boundaries, is to start small. Okay, because it's probably a new skill. It might be a new skill for you. So start small, find a boundary that isn't really threatening to you, that you don't feel intimidated by, and start there. You know, especially if it's a new skill. And then increase to more challenging ones and build upon your successes. Okay guys, building boundaries takes courage. Self-love takes courage. You need practice and support, but I can tell you the relationship improvements and the peace of mind it brings and the increase in self-esteem and the better relationship that you have with yourself, it's all going to be worth it. It's all going to be so worth it, I promise you. So take a look at the worksheet and the link below. Consider getting that book, or maybe finding some others that will help. There's plenty out there on setting boundaries. And thank you for being patient with me while I set some boundaries for myself and did not continue to do this challenge consistently every day. I needed to take some time to chill and meditate and restore my own self so I could come back stronger and more positive for you guys. So I can tell you we will be continuing on our 31-day self-challenge tomorrow. So join us here on the Twisted Tribe Yoga Facebook page, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for joining. Namaste.